Welcome to the Modern Manifestation Podcast. I'm your host, Bree Brown, a business mindset coach, entrepreneur, and a top competitor in a male-dominated industry. I'm a native Texan, the youngest of all brothers, and a lettuce-hating, wine-loving, curses-like-a-sailor recovering perfectionist. I've spent over a decade building my commission-based career, and my life's purpose is helping other women achieve the same multi-six-figure success I achieved before I was 25. I have a passion for helping women with mindset, money, and manifestation skills to help every young woman realize her full potential. If you're looking for vulnerable conversations, professional development, inspiration, or even a kick in the ass to get you motivated, you have come to the right place. Thanks for checking out the Modern Manifestation Podcast. Now let's jump right in to today's topic. Hello, everyone, and happy Monday if you are tuning in on the day that this episode launches. Today, we are jumping in to journaling. Journaling to save your life. There are so many benefits to journaling, and I thought it would be extremely important to dedicate an entire podcast episode to this discussion. I know we've mentioned it in other podcast episodes. Laura and I got into it a little bit, and it was also mentioned in the Doing One Thing Every Day That Scares You podcast, which I will link in the show notes. But I think it's worth spending a few minutes today just really diving into the importance of journaling and why you should be doing this. And if you're a personal development junkie like me, you probably have already been told 1,000 times that you need to start journaling, whether it was like your therapist or a life coach or a friend, or you heard it on another podcast. I mean, the message is out there all over the place. And if you're like me, you've also probably avoided actually doing it for years, even though you know how good it's supposed to be for you. So I don't want to spend this entire podcast lecturing you about like why you should be journaling and trying to convince you that it's important, because you already know. You already know it's something that you should be doing, and maybe it's just not something that you're actively doing, right? We talked about in another podcast how you should all over yourself, and for a long time, that was me with journaling. It was always something that I knew I should be doing. And finally, I started fucking doing it, but it took me a while. And so I want to share with you some of the benefits of journaling that have actually been proven by scientific studies. And I'll link these studies in the show notes as well. So if you are really interested in learning about like the variables and the test subjects and all of that, you can head on over and appease your little scientific self. But I wanted to include these benefits because you've probably heard of like the general stuff, like you're happier, you're more focused, things like that. But if you are on the verge of picking up this habit and you just need like one more really good reason to do so, hopefully there's one of these that speak to you and is a good enough why to get you started on the actual habit or the journey of journaling, which is what it should be. It should be something that you're doing consistently, daily. It's a part of your lifestyle. It should become a part of your lifestyle. And I need to stop saying shit. I'm working on that. It can and will become a part of your lifestyle. This is a shorter episode today, but I wanted to keep it short. That way you can use your extra time to go and maybe spend 5, 10, 15, 30 minutes journaling, whatever feels good to you. So let's dive into some of these benefits, and then we'll get into the journaling types afterward. There are a ton of benefits to journaling. Not only from a mental perspective, but physical as well. So what they've found in a lot of these studies is that you can actually improve and have a healthier immune system when you're journaling. In addition, you could also help lower your blood pressure. You can heal faster after surgeries. I think it was about 58% of the people that journaled healed 3 to 4 weeks faster than the people that were not journaling after a major surgery. Which makes sense if you think about it, right? Because we're all made up of energy, and journaling is supposed to inspire positive energy within you and positive vibrations. So as that's going on, it makes sense that that is something that's going on in your mind. That energy is flowing through you. And so when your body is undergoing something, a stress like healing, it's only going to help that process along. because the energy is helping to move out the bad stuff and circulate the positive healing energy within you. And in fact, this is actually what that healing modality Reiki is all about. So if you are trying to heal, it's thought by thousands of people that Reiki can actually help you do this quicker. And we know that our mind is extremely powerful, not only from a manifestation perspective, but also for self-healing. And this is why the placebo effect can be such a useful healing mechanism. And a lot of time we think of it as a way to disprove Western medicine or disprove some sort of prescription they're testing or something like that. But the placebo effect is actually an example of an Eastern medicine technique, which is the understanding that your body is intelligent enough to heal itself. So your positive energy is helping you heal. And in addition to that, you've probably heard that journaling helps you with focus. So they had a lot of kids do this in school, and they actually found out that the kids that were journaling every day, it was easier for them to focus. They didn't have to stay on their medication for ADHD or ADD or what have you. And it also improved problem-solving skills for students. So they were actually getting better grades and better grade point averages as a result of journaling every day too. It also helped these students with improved memory as well, which went into the studying aspect of it. And as journaling helped with this better memory retention, it didn't matter if the subject content of what you were writing was about a test or remembering a conversation or a to-do list or whatever. Journaling helps you remember things regardless of what you were journaling about. And it helps your memory improve even if what you were writing down had nothing to do with what you're trying to commit to your memory. And some of the benefits you're probably already aware of, but I want to make sure I reiterate, is that journaling actually makes you happier, more content with your life, more grateful for the things that you have. Journaling can help you be less reactive, which is a huge thing for manifestation, because that means that more shit that happens to you, you allow it to just roll off instead of allowing it to build up negative energy around you. And we've heard this metaphor 1,000 times where you wake up late and then maybe you spill your milk in the morning and then you're running late to work and the dog runs out the door and then you're in your car and you get cut off and maybe you get in a little fender bender. And again, it's because one negative thing happens to you, you allow yourself to react to that negatively, and then that perpetuates more negative things happening to you throughout the day. And so journaling can help you reduce that reactivity. It can allow things to happen to you, and then you just let it roll off and let it be what it is and move forward, which is a place we would all love to be. And if we were perfect human beings, we would all already be there. But we're not, and journaling can at least help you become a less reactive person, which, by the way, I have a Having Tough Conversations blog, which I need to turn into a podcast. And one of the portions of that is when addressing a confrontation, the less reactive you can be, the more successful your conversation is going to be. So journaling can also help you with those tough conversations as a result of the reactivity component. And just a couple more things that we know journaling is good for. It can increase your emotional intelligence by picking up on your habits and your triggers and identifying them, giving you some perspectives about that. It can also help you gain perspective in a hard or tough situation that maybe you need to work through. And journaling also gives people that have had PTSD or have experienced some sort of past trauma, it allows their brains to interpret that memory differently so that they have a different response over time, which allows them to shape a new perspective and begin healing from whatever that traumatic event was, which is incredible. So those are just a few, well, it's more than a few. That was quite a bit. But that's like physical, mental, lifestyle benefits. There are so many good things about journaling. And for me, it took seeing this list to really get serious about it, because I would probably journal a couple times a week here or there. Wasn't a consistent habit. And I was like, oh yeah, people say journaling is great to help you sort out your thoughts, but I feel like I'm pretty good at doing that, so I don't need to journal. And then I saw this list and saw all of these other benefits, and I was like, oh, well, I want to be more content on a consistent basis, and I want to work on my reactivity, and I want a healthier immune system and increased focus and problem-solving skills. All of those things are boosted with journaling, so why wasn't I doing it? And so that's really what started me on the whole journaling train. I hopped on, I've been on it ever since, and I want you to do the same. So I hope that there's at least one of those benefits that you hone in on and you're like, oh, I've really been wanting to lower my blood pressure or improve my memory or work through this past trauma. Whatever it is, know that journaling can help you with it and make it a part of your lifestyle. And I was actually one of those women that would continuously buy like really beautiful journals that I felt inspired me and that would inspire me to journal. And I would eventually, pick up this habit and do this more consistently. And then I would just add them to a stack of journals that I never actually used because I didn't have a really strong why. So I hope that these tips and benefits of journaling will help you find your why so that you create this into a consistent habit for you. So if you've been thinking about getting on this whole journaling train, start now. Grab one or two of those gorgeous journals that you probably already bought with the intent of journaling in, right? Maybe it became a journal for work notes or shopping lists or just random thoughts. Grab that journal. I feel like we all have one, and start actually journaling in it. And you do not have to be perfect about this, right? We talk about perfectionism a lot here, but I think it's so important because it can keep us from achieving our higher and best selves a lot. You don't have to be sitting in your favorite chair with your music going, facing east, at your desk, with incense, with your favorite pen. I mean, it doesn't have to be this perfect setup. You don't have to spend so much time and getting overwhelmed with the idea of everything you need to do in preparation to journal. I mean, hell, you can journal on the back of a receipt for all I care. I mean, like I said, it doesn't have to be in this beautiful bound journal or anything like that. Just do it. Just grab a piece of paper, a scrap piece of paper. It could be the back of the menu. I mean, whatever. Just grab something and start. That's all you need to do is have a writing utensil and something to write on. It's a very simple task, and you don't need to make it harder, and you don't need to give yourself all of these barriers to keep you from actually doing it. And to that end, don't worry about grammar, word choice, how dumb you think you sound, punctuation. I mean, nothing. Honestly, the more run-on sentences, the better. That means you're more focused on the content than the act of writing. You need to just get into the process and let it become what it's going to become and not worry about if someone's ever going to read it and judge your writing. Like, first of all, no one should be reading this thing. I usually burn mine after I finish a journal. I'll then go out in the backyard and just light it on fire so no one can ever read what I wrote down. But I also write so terribly, like I will intentionally make my handwriting bad because that gets my brain into this just like conscious or subconscious flow of ideas or words or whatever it is that needs to come to the surface for me. And so I actually embrace really shitty handwriting when I'm doing this. And it has the added benefit that if someone even wanted to read it, they probably can't because more often than not, I can't actually go back and reread it. And if that's important to you, you want to go back and reread it, that's your own prerogative. You do whatever you want. I never want to go back and reread. I just use this as like a purging process. So the message here is just don't take it too seriously. Don't try to make it this perfect thing. That's the opposite of what you should be doing. I have so many people that are like, oh, I'm just always worried about like, I don't spell well, or I don't like my handwriting, or whatever. None of that is important. None of it. What is important is making journaling a consistent part of your day. Not your week, not your month, every day. Just 5 minutes a day. It would be awesome if you could do more, right? If you have 15, 20, 30 minutes, an hour, I mean, more power to you. Writing every day is so, so helpful, even from a creative perspective. But if you are really busy, make it the first 5 minutes. Maybe you just wake up and then you grab a journal and a pen that you keep on your nightstand. That way you can get it done before emails are starting to come in, calls are being made, family members come flying through the door. I mean, give yourself that first 5 minutes to journal. And then if you're really into it and you need more time and you just want to allow that to be as long as it is, great. But just give yourself at least that 5 minutes every day. And you can journal about so many topics. It doesn't just have to be a recap of what happened to you the day before or someone that pissed you off. I mean, it's not synonymous with a diary, right? So things you can journal about if you're looking for some ideas would be challenges you're facing. And just talk about everything from a very objective perspective. What is bothering me? What do I really want to achieve from this situation? What are some opportunities to grow that I could gain from this? Use it to get clear on challenges, how to address them, how to move forward. You could also journal about things that you're excited about. If you really want to increase your vibration, that's a great one to do because it's a very positive journaling session, which is only going to help you from a manifestation perspective. You can journal about your goals, your ideas, and even things that stress you out. If you just need to vent, journaling is a fantastic place to go to vent instead of to another person, because venting to another person can be a very low vibe, negative energy, whereas venting within a journal is not. It's a release. It's a purge of that toxic energy from you, putting it onto the paper and letting it go. One of my favorite ways to journal also is to describe in detail a perfect day in my future life. What is that going to look like? In extreme detail too, like from the time I wake up, what does my alarm clock look like? What is my view? What are the clothes that I'm grabbing? What is the plan for the day? I mean, get very specific, and that will help you from a manifestation perspective because it's visualizing while you're journaling, which, as we've talked about before, that's a huge thing for manifestation, is seeing something happen before it does. Another one of my favorite journaling topics is rage journaling. And this is when you let your inner child out and just let that thing run frickin' rampant. Let it have the biggest tantrum in this journal. Use all the cuss words or all the childish words or whatever. Write down all the things that you want to say, but can't say or shouldn't say or whatever those blocks are for you. And whenever you're done, just let all that negative shit go. And then once you've done that, end on a positive note. That way you have something positive coming back into you to replace those voids from that negative energy. So maybe you say thank you to your journal for allowing you to vent. And then maybe mention some things that you're grateful for afterward. Like, I'm so grateful that I was able to discuss that in a safe and healthy place. Or I'm so grateful that I had this wonderful pen that I love to write with. Or I'm so, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be something more existential. Like, I'm just so happy to be alive or whatever that is for you. Just make sure you end on a positive note. That way you are replacing that negativity with something that's good for you and get your mind back into that positive vibe. And then the last one I'll recommend is also unconscious writing. That's when you just start writing. You just start putting words to the page. They might not make sense. It might not be about anything in particular. It's just a stream of your consciousness coming out. Allow those words to just flow. And you might get into this Zen zone where you don't even realize what you're writing anymore. But that can be very telling as well, because sometimes there are things that are going to come out when you do that from your subconscious that you didn't even realize were an issue or a goal of yours or a life change that you've been contemplating. And so that can be really powerful as well if you're struggling to connect with your intuition. So that's all I have for you guys today. I really hope that you listen to this podcast and decide to make journaling a part of your lifestyle because it's so important. And if you've heard it from 1,000 other people and you still haven't done it, I hope you listen to this and say, all right, I'm going to start fucking doing it. And if you do, tag me on Instagram, tag me on your Facebook posts. I want to hear that you're doing this and you're making it a part of your positive lifestyle change. And lastly, if you ever want some more inspiration, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of journaling prompts online that you can easily access. Choose any one of those, and then that could be your source of inspiration for journaling as well. I really appreciate you guys for tuning in. And if you are making journaling more of a priority and a habit in your life, please, when you start doing it, tag me in your stories and your posts on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever it is. Because hearing about your new life habits, it keeps me inspired and motivated, and it just really makes me want to keep bringing you guys more. I want to see what you guys are up to, and I want to see the commitments that you're making to yourself. That gets me really jazzed. I get really inspired by you guys. Nothing brings me more joy than knowing that you guys are benefiting from these topics. And with that, if you do have any recommendations or ideas on things you'd like to hear more about, feel free to shoot me an email and let me know about some different topics you're interested in. And as always, if there's anything within this episode or others that you think a friend or family member could really benefit from, I would love it if you would share it with your friends, family, coworkers, whoever, and allow them to get these same messages that could help them as well. Thank y'all again for hanging out with me today, and I will catch y'all next Monday. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this podcast, hit subscribe so you can stay up to date with new episodes. As always, we would love it if you would share this episode with friends and family who could use the inspiration. As a new podcast show, we would really appreciate your honest feedback so I know what you like and what you could use more of. As a thank you for leaving us a rating, we will send you our 7 weekly tips to create space for abundance. Make sure you screenshot your review and email it to us at hello@themodernmanifestation.com so we can send them straight to your inbox. If you'd like to stay connected, you can find us on Instagram or Facebook at Modern Manifestation, or you can head to our website at themodernmanifestation.com. Thanks again for joining me, and I will catch y'all in the next episode.